Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've started on a different project. The mail has been delayed. I ordered the maiden voyage on eBay. For whatever reason, it's been delayed, so it's not here. And I don't really want to start on the Pennywise vignette until I get all the parts and pieces. So last night I got a little bit carried away. Don't be too upset with me. I got a lot farther on a vignette, sort of a small little village all by itself before I started videoing, but I'll break it all down for you. I'll show you some pictures and I'll walk you through the steps that I used to kind of create this. But this is the Mickey Mouse Pumpkintown. I posted a picture of it on social media the other day of the boxes that we got, and really excited about it. I feel like I'm running out of time, but I do have some time off from flying, so I wanted to get this done. I want to get the Pennywise done, and then I got some more Department 56 Peanuts pieces that I want to get displayed in a vignette before we get into the month of October. So full plate. And so I got started last night, and let me show you what I've got done. Before I do that though, take a look at this picture here. This is the design that I had in mind when I wanted to create the Pumpkintown. I drew this out on my iPad. You can tell by just the drawing that I'm a schooled artist. This looks like a third grader drew it. So I had no idea what I was doing, but I wanted to kind of get what I was seeing in my mind out on paper so that it would help me to start to build the village that I was anticipating. So with that, let's jump into taking a look at what I did last night. Again, I got a little bit carried away. I didn't videotape really any of this, but I will go through step by step and show you how I made it. So with that, let me show you. Okay guys, we're walking over to what was the coffee bar, and this is what happened last night. Yeah, I know I got a little carried away. I didn't anticipate going this fast or this far so quickly. But hey, when the creative juices are flowing, you just go with it, right? So never done a mountain before. And so I'm pretty pleased with the way that turned out. Now there is another mountain, and I'll show you how to do that. It's gonna sit sort of behind that with some orange fairy lights down in the middle of those to kind of highlight one part of the mountain with some orange light. And then these are 3 pieces of stacked, wow, sorry, this is, gimbal's going all over the place. 3 pieces of stacked 2-inch foam board, the XPS foam. The top piece, I cut the bridge out as 1 piece. None of this has been glued together yet. And then it goes sort of like that, but it does sort of look like the picture that I envisioned. And then, so now really what this is ready to do for me is glue it together. All those were cut not together. They were cut in 1 piece, and I'll show you how to do that as well. But now they're ready to be glued together. I think I'm just gonna glue it all together minus the mountain in the back. And then once it's glued, it's ready for some paint, and then final decorations, and it'll be done. So with that, let me show you some of the techniques that I used to get to where we are today. Okay guys, so I'm gonna simulate what I did. I apologize, I should have recorded this, but I was just in the mood. It hit me right. I just started going, and I know better, I'll do better next time. I do apologize, but I'm gonna show you everything that I did, and so you'll just have to, this will be fine. So this is the Minnie Mouse Pumpkintown piece, Department 56. Beautiful little piece. It takes just a normal regular light at the bottom, but in order to take the drawing that I did and then put it on foam and cut it out, basically what I did was I took a marker. Now just simulate that this foam, this is all the foam I've got left. Guys, I used everything I've got. The 2-inch foam, I have none left. I've got just minimal pieces of the 1-inch foam. So I got to make a hardware store run this week, probably later today or tomorrow, to get some more foam to complete some of the other projects. But this is what I've got, so this is what we'll use just to kind of show you how I did this. So I put it on, and then I sort of envisioned the way I wanted this piece to look, and essentially all I did was draw around it. just like this and said, okay, so I want this to come out, and then I want there to be some stairs. So I kind of drew some stairs. Now this is a little, not really to size, but you get the idea. And then kind of drew around it. And this was going to be the general shape of what I was going to cut out. I'll set that out of the way. And then you can sort of see the diagram for cutting this out. Okay, so then I took my hot wire foam factory tool, basically the straight knife, and just cut this out very simply. Okay, and then I knew I wanted to stack it up. So this was 1-inch foam. I actually did this initial cut on 2-inch foam. Okay, so how does that look? Let me show you. That looks like this. So this is what I cut out. Now, obviously these were all cut in later, and the stairs were cut in later. It was just this sort of shape. And you can see sort of the same shape that I'm talking about there, right? I just cut that out. And then in order to do another cut of the same size, I took this piece of foam, and again, this wasn't there. This is just a round piece of foam. I took it and I put it on top of the next piece of foam, and I simply traced around it, okay? And then I took that piece off and I cut my second piece of foam out. And then I did the same thing a third time, and so that was 3, I'll stop there. I only did that twice. And then in order to do the other side for the Mickey piece versus the Minnie piece, it was just really a reverse image. So guess what? I simply took the foam like this, turned it over like this, and traced it around again and cut out another piece of that, 2 more pieces of that. So now I've got 4 pieces, the exact same piece really, but you turn 2 over and they're mirror images of each other, if that makes sense. And so that was Mickey on one side and Minnie on the other. And then I knew I wanted the bridge, right? So how did I do that? Let me stop and get that piece and I'll show you how to do that. Okay guys, so the way that I did the bridge piece is I took one of these, actually I took both of these, right? And I made them so that they would sit now these, this one would probably be like this. So this is how they would look the way before I cut them, right? And so I put them down at the even spacing that I wanted for the bridge to be in the middle. And so I just traced around that on a bigger piece of foam, a 2-inch piece of foam, right? And then I drew a bridge in the middle and I cut that out. And so it looks like this before you cut it. Now this is not to size, right? But here's one piece, here's the other. I traced around those at the right distance of the bridge I wanted. Again, this is not to size. This is a very, very small little bridge, but I just drew a bridge in. And so I cut this whole thing out with the same hot wire foam tool, the straight knife, and I basically just cut around here, right up through here to the bridge. I cut straight across, I didn't cut the bridge, down through here, around, back up through here, cut across the bridge, and then down on this side. And so essentially I just traced it and cut it out. And so when you're done with that, if it turns out right, it's going to look, and I'll back up a little bit, it's a pretty big piece. It looks like this, right? Now this is, again, this has got the stairs cut and all the details cut, but when I initially did it, it's just a piece of foam. And so that is the bridge. This is exactly what it would really look like on the other side before all the cuts. And so the bridge is cut in there. Now this is a pretty it's pretty thick. It's 2 inches. It's not going to break, right? But I certainly wanted it to be glued together. So that's the next step. Well, that's not the next step. The next step is carving everything, right? And so to carve it, let me show you how I was able to do that. Okay guys, so I've got 2 pieces put back together, right? I didn't glue these yet. So really imagine, I know it's hard, but just go with me here. Imagine this without any cuts in it, right? No stairs cut, no cuts, it's just a round circular piece of foam. And it was stacked, in this case, 2 times, and then obviously, let me get the other piece. It was stacked 3 high, and so this piece would have been like this, similar to this right here. And so that's how the whole thing looked. And then I took this tool out of the hot wire foam kit, this is the trenching tool. I shaped it to a more of a round shape, more of a cylindrical shape. And then essentially, once this was hot, I just went through and started pulling things off. Just up and down, up and down. I'll get to the stairs in a minute. Those killed me. They're not great. But just kind of do this all over. And I just held this down on top with my hand and carved all three pieces together. And just kind of took it to make it look like rocks. Just, you know, sideways, up, down, dug in deep, not so deep, just to kind of give it some variety on the edge. And it's not too bad. I'm pretty pleased with it. Obviously, I didn't do the back. You're not going to see it. A little more of a deeper cut around the stairs. I think that looked pretty good. And then for the stairs, how I did that was I took the tool, obviously, after it cooled down. I shaped it to more of a stair shape. That's not perfect, but you sort of see how that worked. Now, I'm not gonna lie, guys, I'm not real happy with the way the stairs turned out. My wife told me, she said, hey, don't worry about it, they look like stairs, but this is the first time, honestly, that I've tried to do, you know, curved stairs, and it's not good. It almost killed me. It does not look the way that I wanted it to look. Is it gonna work? Yeah, once I get paint on it, you'll never be able to really tell, hopefully, but this was one big solid chunk that came out that was all the same size. So trying to go through that step by step was, maybe there's a better way, guys. Leave a comment and tell me if you can cut curved stairs. Tell me how you do it. Tell me what your secret is, or maybe how you would think of doing it better, because this is really tough for me, and I'm not completely pleased with it, but it is what it is. I don't have any more foam, and so we're gonna make it work. But this was pretty difficult for me, I'm not gonna lie. And this is the tool that I use. Maybe there's a different way, I don't know. But and then I cut a lot of this stuff down after it was done and reshaped it to kind of get the shape that you see here, which I'm okay with. I'm pretty pleased with that. So that's how I did the cutting for the base. Again, this is 3 pieces of foam. The top piece, big piece, right? And then you've got the 2 smaller pieces here, and then that's going to sit all on one 1-inch piece. And the 1-inch piece, guys, I just measured what I thought would look good on my countertop there, distance wise. It'll vary for every project that you make, so just measure out what looks good. I cut that with the same straight knife. It was too big to cut on the Proxxon for me, so I just used the straight knife, and then I used the same tool to sort of give it the edging to match this piece here along the sides and the front of it to kind of blend everything together. And so it sits on top of that. So that's sort of how it's going to look when it's all done, right? So now let's look at how we did the mountains. I've never done those before either, so this is my first time doing that. So how did I do it? Okay, guys, I've got another piece of foam. See, again, the only piece I've got left. I am going to use this on another project. I'm going to make a mountain for behind this little project too. It's a couple of Peanuts pieces we picked up from Department 56. So I'll just cut this real time to show you how to cut mountains. It's still got the backing on it. I'm not too worried about it. I'll peel all that stuff off. I don't draw anything out for mountains. I mean, I think everybody really knows sort of what a mountain shape looks like. So I take the tool, it's hot, and I just really start cutting. There's really no craziness to it. I think everybody is familiar with what a mountain looks like. And there's, different shapes, different sizes, so just have fun. Bob Ross it, man. Put happy little mountains everywhere, little peaks. Okay guys, so turn that off, set it down, and there's your mountain, just like that. So you can actually use this. You can have two mountains. You can reverse that if you'd like. Now you got two. Now you just got to pull the stuff off of it. This is a little more flimsy, as you can see. That's may not work, but if you glue it down to something, or you set it behind this, you can glue it to this and make some mountains like that with some lights in between. That's what I'm going to do for the Pumpkintown. But that's really it. That's how I did the mountains, at least initially, and then I pull everything off and carve them. Let me show you how to do that. Okay guys, I hope this is gonna work. I'm gonna try to show you here as best I can. Let me adjust the camera a little bit higher. And so essentially now I've got this tool. It's shaped sort of this shape here. It's hot. And so really what I'm gonna do is just simply start cutting the tops of the mountains with this. Doesn't have to be perfect. And again, guys, I would, you know, and I'm not gonna do a lot of this inside. This probably should be done outside. This smokes quite a bit. Right, but you sort of get the idea of what that is looking like, right? And that's sort of the rough edge of the mountain there, of at least the beginning. And then for the rest of the build, for the rest of the mountain, turn this back down a little bit better here so you can see. Basically, I take the same thing and I just start going sort of sideways, just kind of scraping it down, pulling some of this stuff out of the way. And again, I'm only going to do just a little bit of this. You just kind of take your time, cut some different, if you want to cut a, you know, sort of a trough for the mountain. You just kind of experiment with it, right? There's no right or wrong. I'm just kind of scraping this back and forth and then scraping some of the stuff off, going at different angles. Just experiment with it. I don't know if I'm doing it right or wrong. This is how I did it. It seems to work. At least for what I'm trying to do. And when it's all done, it does not look bad at all. So you sort of get the idea of what it's looking like. I'm going to shut this bad boy off. It is really smoking in here, and I don't want that. So anyway, let me walk back around. And so that is what the mountain is starting to look like. That's how you do it. It's pretty simple to do that. And hopefully that helps you to see that mountains are pretty easy to do, really. I was pretty shocked. Now, this is only a 1-inch piece of foam, right? So it's pretty neat to be able to do that. So, okay, let's look at the large Mickey Mouse that I made. That's going to go, or at least the Mickey Mouse's head, that's going to go into the middle of the display. Hey guys, before I show you the Mickey Mouse ears, I want to be able to show you the finished mountains. These are pretty large, a little bit larger than the display because I wanted them to stick out. But I want to show you the unique thing here that I did. What I envisioned was two sets of mountains, one a little bit higher than the other, and then throw some orange fairy lights on a little shelf in between. And so it illuminates the top half of these mountains orange to kind of complement the orange pumpkin houses from Mickey's Pumpkintown. So the way I did that is, you saw how I cut the mountains. I just did it on a larger scale. I measured these out. So I made this one, and then I made this one. Okay, so they're basically the same size, right? Pretty large. And then this one's pretty flat at the bottom, and it's that way for a reason, because I also cut out just a small strip of foam, a little bit smaller in length than this mountain. Okay, and the reason of that is because when I glue it on, I want an edge to drop off so I can bring the fairy lights down with a battery pack and just set it on the table, or somewhere like that. So I'm still gonna pull this backing off before I glue it. So this will sit like this on the smaller mountain. Okay, and then this, once this is hot glued to this, will then be hot glued to this. And let me see if I can get it somewhat representative of sort of what I'm looking like. This is hard to do with one hand, but it's gonna look something like this, okay, when it's done. And you can see in the middle, there's a shelf there. And so I'll just run fairy lights just along that strip. They'll fall off the edge like I showed you there. There's plenty of room to do that. And then so that will illuminate the back piece of the mountains. And these will be sitting up quite a bit higher. It's hard to do this representative, but this piece up here will be sort of up like this, right? And so they'll be a little bit higher, and they'll be glowing orange. At least the back side of these will be glowing orange. So I think that gives a really good effect to what I'm going for with the Pumpkintown. So that's how I did the mountains. And I'll glue all this stuff together, paint it, and then I'll show you how it looks probably in part 2 of this tutorial. So now with that, let's look at the big Mickey Mouse ears that I created to go right in the center of this, and I'll show you how I did that. Okay guys, so I wanted to put Mickey Mouse in the center, kind of create all the attention on a Mickey Mouse head. I envisioned this, as you saw in the very elementary drawing up front in the video, just a black silhouetted Mickey Mouse that sits in front of the mountains behind the little bridge going across, and sort of helps to theme this is Mickey Mouse. All right, so first of all, I got to create something round, right? And so what I did is I cut this out round. I beveled the edges with some sandpaper just to make it look a little more reasonable. Then I created a couple of ears. These will be hot glued on with some, probably some small dowel rods. And it's gonna sit sort of like this. I've got to get it, it'll look better once it's all put together, but it'll be hot glued on and then painted black, and that'll be sort of the main piece of this village. So how did I do this? How did I create these circles? And then obviously the sandpaper bevel is sort of give them the finished look. So how did I do that? Well, I searched around through the house, and this is what I found. Paper plate, Costco, we love Costco. And so I put a paper plate on some foam and I traced it. And so I traced it with the paper plate on it, and then that gave me the ability then to take my hot wire knife and just simply cut it out and be done with it. I put a little base at the bottom, just kind of ad-libbed that as I went for it to sit on. But you can see the remaining drawing there from the plate. And then to do the smaller ears, I searched high and low for something circular about the right size. I think these may be a little too big. I also did some that are probably a little too small. My wife likes these better. This is a canister lid. We are basic in this house. I don't know, I don't have a compass or anything like that to draw with, so found a canister lid, and yeah, that goes on top of the foam. I used a pen instead of a marker because I didn't want to get marker on this. She would have been mad at me. And so I traced around with a pen, and then I cut these out. And this is 2-inch foam, obviously. And so that's how I made the Mickey Mouse ears, a plate and a canister lid, right? And so with that, I'll glue those together and paint them black. I'm just gonna leave them black. It'll be a very thick coat, so you can't see any of the foam coming through. And that'll be the centerpiece behind that bridge that goes across Pumpkintown. And so with that, guys, I think I'm gonna stop this part of the tutorial. What's next, at least for me, and I don't know that I'll do a tutorial on how to do this, because guys, it's pretty basic, right? But I'm gonna take my hot glue gun, I'm gonna heat that bad boy up, and I'm gonna start gluing all the pieces, all those 3, you see them sitting back there, all those bases together. Glue the top piece on with the bridge, make it a little more sturdy with the glue. And then I'll probably glue that down to the top base and just have it one big one big display. The only problem with that is storage, right? Where do you store it? I guess we'll figure that out after it's all said and done, but that's more than likely what I'm going to do next is glue it down. Then it's going to get a coat of black, flat black paint. Again, I buy a gallon of paint at Lowe's or Home Depot, the least expensive they got in a flat black. I'm going to coat the entire thing in black, and then we'll start detailing. And that's where I'll probably bring back the video on how to detail after it's already been painted, the flat black. We'll start doing some detail on the mountains, start doing some detail on the rocks, some dry brushing, and we'll take it from there. Guys, if you like what you're watching, please click on the like button. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And to those who have, I certainly appreciate it. The channel's growing. It gives me more motivation and incentive to keep throwing videos out like this. Again, leave comments. I love reading them, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.